Sheikh Hasina's final hours in Bangladesh. This is the dilemma which Hasina faced in Dhaka. Here's how she planned her great escape in 45 minutes. On Monday, a sea of Bangladeshi protesters from the outskirts of the capital city Dhaka advanced towards Gonobhobon, the Prime Minister's official residence, united in their single demand: PM Sheikh Hasina must resign. With lakhs of protesters approaching fast, officials calculated they were just minutes away from Sheikh Hasina's residence. The former Bangladesh PM faced a harrowing decision. Should she heed the advice of her inner circle and refrain from exerting force on her people, or should she escape? Hasina, who had occupied the seat of power in Bangladesh since 2009, ultimately chose to flee. But before that decision, there were hours of convincing phone calls and meetings. This is the story of final hours of Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh, the dilemma, the circumstances, and the ultimate decision that resulted in the Great Escape to India. In an attempt to reframe power, using force or otherwise, Sheikh Hasina, even till the end, clung to her position according to a report in the Dhaka-based newspaper Prathamalo. Before fleeing the country, she applied immense pressure on top officials from various law enforcement and defense forces for about an hour, starting at 10:30 am on August 5, according to the report. However, by that time, the streets of Dhaka leading to the PM residence were flooded with perhaps the largest crowd ever seen on the streets of the country. Student leaders had vowed to storm PM's official residence a day earlier, following the tragic killing of at least 98 Bangladeshis on August 4. Sheikh Hasina for the past 3 weeks had been unable to quell the student-led protests despite using heavy-handed armed forces and her party workers. Citing multiple sources, the Prathamalo report provided an account of Sheikh Hasina's final 4 hours before her resignation and eventual escape to India. Realizing the gravity of the situation, some Awami League leaders, who included one of her top aides, tried to persuade her to transfer the power to the military on Sunday night. However, at that moment she was reluctant to accept the advice. Instead, Hasina ordered a tighter curfew starting Monday, closing down everything in Bangladesh, including a blanket closure on internet services. This after a day when Bangladesh had descended into anarchy and security personnel were acting against the protesters. Despite the efforts to enforce the curfew at dawn, the protesters began defying it at various locations at 9 am. An hour later, lakhs of people had already descended on the streets of Dhaka. High-level sources from various agencies revealed that around 10:30 am, the chiefs of 3 armed forces, Army, Navy and the Air Force, and the Inspector General of Police were summoned to the Prime Minister's residence. Sheikh Hasina expressed frustration at the security forces' inability to control the situation, questioning why they weren't able to act against the agitators. The Inspector General of Police then revealed to her that the situation had escalated to a level where it was unsustainable for the police to maintain such a strict stance for an extended period. But Sheikh Hasina was unwilling to accept it, said the report. Seeing that they couldn't make Hasina understand the gravity of the situation, some officials met her younger sister Rehana in a separate room. They urged her to convey the gravity of the situation to Hasina, after which Rihanna spoke to her elder sister. Hasina still remained unconvinced. Following this, a senior official even spoke to Hasina's son, who stays abroad but was an official advisor to the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. According to the report, Hasina's son then spoke to her, following which she agreed to resign. According to reports, before she could board an aircraft to leave the country, Hasina expressed the desire to record a farewell speech to be broadcasted to the nation. But that did not happen. By that time, intel reports indicated that the flood of the people could reach the PM residence any moment. Given the urgency, there was no time for Sheikh Hasina to record the speech she wanted. Instead, the army gave her 45 minutes to prepare for the departure. Sheikh Hasina, along with her younger sister Rihanna, arrived at a helipad at the Tejgaon Air Base adjoining to her official residence. Some of her belongings were loaded on board. Sheikh Hasina then proceeded to the President's office, where she gave her formal resignation, bringing an end to the 15-year-long rule in Bangladesh. Reports say the helicopter from Dhaka carrying Hasina and her sister landed at a border security force helipad in the northeastern city of Agartala in Tripura shortly after entering Indian airspace. Later, Sheikh Hasina arrived at Indian Air Force's Hindon Air Base near Delhi at 5:36 p.m. IST in a BAF C-130J. Indian officers, including National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, welcomed her. However, Sheikh Hasina's departure might not just be the end of an era, but the beginning of an uncertain yet hopeful chapter for Bangladesh, as the vacuum has now thrown open a number of possibilities. Sheikh Hasina is the first top leader of Bangladesh to flee, and the last hours in Bangladesh were as dramatic as her rise to power.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest.